Warm welcome to Golden Nugget, the biggest fish tank in downtown. Big stacks, big pots, and also big hand symbols. Look at this. But anyway, let's get into the action. And a quick overview about the table. Me and the player on seat 5, we were the big stacks. I bought in for $300, he bought in for $1K, the rest of the players between $100 and $200. And one player, especially to mention, in seat 5, a young guy, had his 21st birthday on this day. He was celebrating with his guys, pretty drunk, has absolutely no idea from poker, a lot of big splashy pots, but let's find out. So, the first hand of note. It was still early in the game, I think first or second orbit. There's a straddle of $5. The cutoff calls, I call from the button with queen 10 off. Small blind calls, a big blind calls, and the straddler checks his options. So we go 5-way to the flop. Which comes queen 4 with 2 diamonds. The small blind checks, and the big blind, a lady with short stack, leads out for $15. It falls around to me. I call because I want a small blind within in the hand, but unfortunately he folds. So we go heads up to the turn. Which brings the 8 of diamonds, front door flush gets there, she leads out for $15 again, and she only has like 30, 40 something in her stack, so I put her all in, because I want to commit her stack right now before another diamond hits, and after a few seconds thinking, she calls and we go on to the river. Which brings a 6, she flips over queen 9, my kicker plays, so I scooped the first spot I was really involved in, and we had a seat open. The next one is a good one. I'm under the gun +1 with king, queen and clubs. Under the gun limps, I raise to $15. Seat 5, the direct rate calls, small blind, big blinds, and also the limper calls. So we go 5-way to the flop, which comes almost perfect as it can get. Queen 10-9 with 2 clubs. I hold the world in my hand with top pair, good kicker, second nut flush draw with the straight flush draw, gut shot. So I'm ready to go everywhere, and it's get even better when the small blind checks and the big blind, the young drunk guy, start to donk leads for $25. After I got a count from his stack, he has about $150 left, is what the dealer announced. I decided to just call because I definitely see the money goes all in from him in future streets, and I like to have one of the other guys in the pot as well. And my plan seems to work when the rack in seat 5 raises to $150, obviously to put the big blind all in and get me out of the hand, but the small blind folds and the big blind as well, so it go back to me. I definitely put him on a hit and or a good draw. He showed before that he's really aggressive and sticky with his draws, so maybe a hand like queen jack, jack 10, jack 9, maybe queen 8, 10 8, maybe the jack and clubs. So for me it's only one option, even when he has 2 pair already. I have so many outs to win this hand in different ways, so my option is only to push it all in because I only have about $250 left in my stack, and he snap calls. So we go to the run out. Turn is a 7 of spade and the river is a 7 of clubs, and I'll go show first, and I show my flush and he shows the same hand just without the flush, so I scoop a really nice pot and double up. In this next hand I have king 10 off from the button. I raise it up to $10. There was a limp from early position which I didn't saw, otherwise I would raise a little bit deeper in this weak but deep table. But anyway, the big blind and the limper calls, so you go 3-way to the flop. When the flop is jack 7-4 with 2 clubs, it's check around to me, and this board definitely favors more their ranges than mine, so with overcard and backdoors I like to check back here and see what happens on the turn. The turn is an ace. Small blind checks, big blind bets $15. The ace definitely hits my range as a preflop aggressor, and I have the gut shot to the nut straight, and if the river blanks I definitely can get him over for weaker holding, so I like to just check and see what he does on the river. The river is a 9 of clubs, and now he checks his cards and then checks over to me, so I definitely know he's weak, maybe a bottom pair, maybe a missed gut shot like 10-9, 9-8. So I don't have to put in too much pressure to get him off his any weak holdings, so I put in a bet of $35 and he quite quickly folds. The next hand, it looks really good but it won't feel really good. I'm under the gun, I open up for $10, a low jack, high jack, and the button makes the call, so we go 4-way to the flop. And the flop comes King 7-4 with 2 clubs. I put in a c-bet of $20 and the low jack min raises to $40. The other both players fold, and for me it looks really weak. Maybe a weak king, maybe a 7, smaller pocket pair, or maybe a weak draw, so I don't want to raise here and get him off of his weak hand. So I just call and then to see what he does on future streets. The turn is a 9, I check over to him and he puts in a bet of $40 after some time of thinking. It still looks really weak and I don't want to get him off right now, so I decide to just call and let's go to the river. The river is a 6 of clubs, which brings in the Fonto flush draw. I check over to him and will call any reasonable bet. And he looks like he's thinking for a while, he's checking his cards. After some time, I signal him again that I checked already, and he just grabbed one of his stacks and put it in. This absolutely doesn't look strong to me, and the price is quite good, and I beat so many hands, so I just snap call, and somehow he wakes up with Queen 10 in clubs for the flush. He was able to semi-bluff all the way through, which I definitely didn't see coming, and yeah, this time it works and I paid him off. Which brings us to the last 2 hands of the night. I'm under the gun with Jack 10 suited. I open up for $10, it falls around to a small blind, which likes to call, and the big blind now, new player on the table, raises to $30. I'm in position of both of them with a nice suited connector hand, so I like to call and the small blind calls as well. And the flop comes Jack 10-9 with 2 spades. The small blind checks and now the big blinds shoves all in right away. I don't see him doing it with any nut hands like King Queen or pocket jacks or pocket tens for a set. I think he would go for value also with a hand like Ace King or Ace Queen in spade or Queen Jack in spade. So I put him right away on aces or kings, which I'm definitely far ahead on the flop. So I'm just thinking how I can get the most money also from the small blind. So I decided at the end just to call and give the small blind all the options, but he folds instantly, unfortunately, so we go to the runner. Turn is a 5 and river is unfortunately 9, which pairs the board, and he announced 2 pair. I knew already that I'm dead. I'll let him know that he's just got lucky. I had a lot of playable hands on this evening. Also the table was super weak and I had really good reads, but unfortunately the boards and as well the luck of the player was absolutely not in my favor. So here we go to the last hand. It's about an orbit later after the aces hand, which I unfortunately didn't film, but here we go. It is also against the same player like in the hand before. He open limps on the low jack, I over limp on the high jack with Queen 8 in hearts. Cut off limp, button now raises to $6, which makes absolutely no sense. Small blind, big blind calls, low jack, me and also the cut off call, so we go 6-way to the flop. Which comes Ace Jack 4 with Ace and Jack in hearts. The blinds check and the low jack bets $20. I just call because I already know I won't get away from this board, so I want as much chips in the middle as possible. Unfortunately only the button calls, rest get away. The turn is a queen, no it's for sure that all my chips will end up in the middle, and when the low jack bets $50, I push it all in for my remaining $120. I want to commit stacks here because I know when I just call and there's a heart on the river, I won't get any chips anymore, and the button folds and the low jack snap calls. River is of course an ace, and he got lucky again. He shows me pocket fours for a river full house. Yep, and that was my last donation for the evening.